honestly, this has been a drastic change to what I had planned for this weekly reading vlog. Hello my loves, and thank you for joining me. It's Kirsten and we're at the start of another weekly reading vlog, and this week I'm just trying to finish out my July TBR. I mean, technically we still have a week and a half left of July, but I've only got 3 physical books left on my TBR for the month and 1 ebook. So the ebook we're going to be reading this week is Paladin's Grace by T. Kingfisher. This is the Discord book club pick for the month of July, which I'm very excited about. A couple of people have already read this one and finished it and put their thoughts in, so I can finally start reading this one and putting in my comments and thoughts and seeing whether I agree with people. I'm very excited for it. This one, from what I've been seeing in Discord, is definitely more fantasy romance, which I don't really mind. We still have older main characters, which is what T. Kingfisher's kind of known for, is a slightly older protagonist, which I really like. Being 31 myself, it's quite nice to now read characters that are my age. But yeah, I don't really know what to expect from this book. I'm expecting a little bit of T. Kingfisher's usual humour, maybe slightly gothic in places, but because this one is more fantasy romance leaning, I'm honestly not sure what to expect because I've only read their more horror leaning work. That's going to be a good one. I'm probably not going to start it until Tuesday when I'm back at work. As we know, I like to read an ebook while I'm on my lunch breaks at work, so this is going to become my ebook for work is what I'm thinking. And then the physical books. We have 3 physical books left. You can see I've already started one. I started that this morning. I did also start another one yesterday evening because I'm kind of feeling like I want to flip between all of these and just kind of have this video go on until I get something finished. Maybe, I'm not sure. I might end up saving Silver Nitrate until later, we'll see. But let's go through what the options are. So we have Silver Nitrate by Sylvia Moreno Garcia, which is a horror book that's to do with this film that was kind of cursed or something. It sounds kind of interesting, obviously, because it's why I picked it for my TBR. We have the book that you all voted on for the month, which is The Beholders, and this is by Hester Musson. This is a gothic historical fiction leaning book, and I have read the first 11 pages of this book, and it's written in journal entries, which I wasn't expecting. We have our main character whose name we haven't been given, but it says here it's Harriet. Oh no, we was given her name because literally the first thing we get is a letter from her mum and it says Harriet there. Ignore me. But yeah, so we're following Harriet and we're seeing her journal entries, and so far we're learning about this house that she's working as a maid in. I'm only 11 pages in. There's not much going on. The atmosphere, again, I'm only 11 pages in. I'm expecting it to get very dark, very gothic. At the minute, you can kind of tell that things are a little bit strict in this house, that she is not liked in this house by the head person of the, I don't know, what do you call it, in-house, from the housemaids, like them. One of them is the cook. I think it's the cook that really doesn't like her, but she's also the head of everybody else in this house that helps look after it. So yeah, and we're also finding out that Harriet, was hired directly by Mrs. Gethin, who is the mistress of the household, and that is not the way it's usually done, which is why she thinks she's not very liked. But no, I'm intrigued. I think the writing style is nice. For the first 11 pages, it seems very intriguing, and then this morning I decided to start up with another book because that's just kind of the mood I'm in, and that's The Collector by John Fowles, and this one is weird. So the first chapter is 117 pages long. I'm currently on page 31. I read the first 30 pages while I was having my breakfast this morning, and it's very disturbing. We're following this man who is a collector of butterflies. He has become obsessed with this girl. Her name is Miranda, and he's been obsessed with her for a very long time. And he comes into a sum of money, and that starts about this plan to kidnap her. It's disturbing. You're inside his mind, so it is very unsettling. It is not a book that is meant to make you feel like, oh, we like this, or oh, this is interesting. Like, this is an unsettling book. Just from the synopsis of this, we knew it was going to be unsettling because it is this person who kidnaps Miranda and holds her hostage because he is a collector. He's a butterfly collector. He likes to collect things, and he has now collected Miranda. And so you knew it was going to be disturbing. What's more disturbing is being inside his head, and some of the thoughts that he has, you're just like, no, this is so wrong. But we're just at the part where he has just kidnapped Miranda, so that all happens in the first 30 pages. You really get a feel for how unsettling this person is. So yeah, so we're inside his mind space, and you know, that's very disturbing, but I'm intrigued to see where it's going to go from there. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm wondering whether we get Miranda's perspective. So the thing is, the books this week are very dark, but I'm also thinking to do some lighter, cozier things. I want to go plant shopping again. I want to do something with my bathroom, so I've got an idea of what I want to do, so I would like to get bits for that. I'm also seeing my partner later today, so we're just going to see how this week goes, and hopefully the books will be good. But I do also have some book mail that was sent to me by the publisher. My battery is flashing at me, so we're just going to do this quickly. But this is Things Went Dark by B. Fitzgerald. This is the same author that did Girl, Goddess, Queen, which was a Greek mythology retelling, which I haven't read, but this one sounds really fun. It is a murder mystery, and the person that dies on live TV, and how are you going to get away with this? And you've got to try and find out. So this is the proof. It comes out the 5th of September, so I'm very excited, and thank you so much to Penguin for sending this to me. I'm very excited. When they reached out, I was genuinely in shock, so thank you so much. Very much looking forward to reading this one. Hopefully I will get to it soon. But yeah, it sounds really fun. No murder has ever had any more witnesses. 6 people land on a desert island ready to make their reality show debut. The contestants are hungry to prove themselves, the stakes are high, and losing is not an option. But 3 weeks and 18 episodes later, 5 of the 6 contestants sit in a Portuguese prison station, and none of them are winners. 12 million people were watching when Rise died on camera, and who the hell did it? I can't wait. It sounds really good. It sounds like my kind of thing. Right, that's it for this intro. I hope you're all doing really, really well. Let me know what you've been up to and what you're reading. For now, I'm going to change this camera battery, like charge it up, and get to reading a little bit more, I think. Okay, it's literally, I think, what, about maybe 2-3 hours later than when I first started this video, and I'm changing my mind about what I want to read. Of course I am. Basically what it is obviously the last 3 books that I've got on my TBR are all darker gothic / horror book, and I'm really not feeling that. I don't really want to be reading loads of dark and gothic books, so I've decided I am going to carry on with The Beholders because it is the book that you all voted on for the month, so I will read this, but then I'm gonna leave The Collector and maybe do this one next week at the start before we go into August book, if that makes sense. So leave that, and then maybe just not read Silver Nitrate this month. Like, I am interested in it, I do want to read it, but at the same time I'm just not feeling all the darker books, especially when I just had a week of reading some really nice cozy books, and I realised I am someone that prefers reading cozy books the majority of the time and then mix it up with a darker book every so often. So coming to that realisation, I just was not feeling a week of darker books. And yes, although I will be reading Paladin's Grace, and this is going to be a fantasy romance, I still wanted another book that's a bit lighter, so have 2 books that are lighter and one that is a little bit more gothic leaning. So we are going to be reading Paladin's Grace, we're going to be reading The Beholders, but then I'm also thinking to mix it up with 5 Liars by Maureen Johnson, because I have this hold on Libby and I have 4 days left on it, so I'm thinking I would really like to read that one. It's on my phone, so it'll be a nice easy book. Paladin's Grace I have on Kindle, and then I've got my physical read, so I think I'm going to focus on reading these 3. Whether I get them all read, whether I can even finish 5 Liars before it's due back, I don't know, because there's actually somebody waiting, so it would be starting it and then waiting to read it. But also I might end up buying a physical copy of this book, because actually, yeah, maybe we'll do that. I mean, the main 2 that are priorities are The Beholders and Paladin's Grace, so they're the main 2 priorities for the week, but I really wanted to mix it up with just a cozy mystery, and I was looking through my shelves and I couldn't really see what I wanted. Like, I definitely have more cozy books in my August TBR, which I'm really grateful for, and it's definitely something I'm learning to balance. This month has just shown me what my reading tastes are, which has been amazing. Like, I love that for me. This is where I am. I think I was in this massive transitional phase of going from a lot of fantasy and some classics to wanting to experiment with darker, more gothic leaning books and horror and sci-fi, which I am really enjoying. But then when I was actually taking time to look back on all the books I've enjoyed most this year, I've enjoyed the cozy sci-fis, the cozy mystery, the cozy fantasy. Like the cozy books is where it's at. Then mix it in with the occasional fantasy, the occasional horror, and do it like that. And I think I'm going to be much happier with that. And I'm sure it will change over time again, because that is the way it is. Like, your reading tastes do change. This is what I need to do for this week, and I feel so much happier with it. So I have a few hours before I'm meeting up with my partner, so I need to do some washing up. I then want to make a start on the Beholders, like more than the 11 pages that I've read this for a couple of hours, hope that filming in this location is okay sound wise. I stopped doing it for a while because I kept getting like weird staticky noises in the background and it was bothering me while editing. That's it. We're restarting this vlog. We are going with a mixture of things. So yeah, I feel so much happier with this. I hope you don't mind the change of pace, but it's what I need to do for my enjoyment, so it's what we're going with. But right, okay, now let's get on with this video. Some books, and yes, that's plural. We didn't get just the one book that I was after. No, we got multiple. But let's get into what was yesterday. Yesterday was really good. I enjoyed it. I had a really nice time out with my partner. We went out for a meal and we did go book shopping. Initially, I thought we were just going to go to a smaller Waterstones, and so I was like, okay, I know exactly where the book is. I can just make a beeline straight for it and ignore everything else. Nope, instead he took me to the big Piccadilly one, so of course I had a little bit more of a look around. Not long, I would admit. I was very good, and I only came away with 3 books. There were 2 other books I really wanted to get that were in hardback, and that was Spell Shop and The Floating Hotel, but I didn't get them. Just those 2 books on their own would have been £42. It's getting so ridiculous, the price of hardback books, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I don't mind paying 20 odd pounds for a book if it's gonna have something on it, so say like foiling under the dust jacket or stenciled edges, you know, something about it. But no, these were just plain. Like, it was just a hardback, and I'm just like, I can't justify that amount of money. Like, why have we gone up so much? It's really frustrating, but I left them. At the end of the day, can't always afford things like that. Unfortunately, Libby don't have it, but you know, I will maybe have to get them somewhere else online that is just cheaper, because it's just getting so expensive nowadays. Anyway, that's my rant over about book prices. Let's talk about the 3 books I did get. Of course, I did get 9 Liars by Maureen Johnson. This one I will talk about in a minute because I also started it yesterday and I am very much enjoying that book. But I did also get 2 other books because they were on the buy one get one half price table. Death of a Bookseller by Alice Slater, or is it Slatter? This is a book I've just been looking at a lot because I really like the cover. So every time I'd go into Waterstones, this is always on their buy one get one half price table, and I would constantly look at this and be like, that title sounds amazing. I also love the hot pink with the like lime green, and I love this little snail sat on top of books that's on top of a bloodstain. Like I love the marketing on this. Like whoever did the cover design on that, gorgeous. I don't know what to expect from this. This is a thriller book and it's not anything like cozy leaning or anything like that. Like I would actually prefer if this was a cozy thriller, but it's not. It is a tale of obsession. So we'll see. This is probably going to be one that sits on my shelves for a little while, but I've been constantly looking at this and I did see another book on the table that I wanted, so I thought, after looking at all the other books on the table, the only one I keep looking at is this one. I wanted this one anyway, I might as well get this one half price. So that is what we did. You'll have to let me know if you've read this one and what you thought of it. Mainly this was a cover and title buy because, I mean, Death of a Bookseller, it sounds good. It is a thriller that is to do with booksellers, so, you know, of course, I was gonna get that one to try it and hopefully I like it. Other book I was so excited to see is India Holton's The Ornithologist's Field Guide to Love. This is India Holton's newest book. I have read one book by India Holton, which was The Secret Service of Tea and Treason, which I really enjoyed. It was so ridiculous but so fun. I want to read very soon. I'm thinking this is going to be another cozy romance story type. It's just going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to reading it. So I was really pleased when this was on the buy one get one half price. I mean, even if it wasn't, I would have picked this one up anyway. 1, I love this cover. 2, I know I like this author, and this just sounds really fun. It sounds like a kind of like light academia romance, which, yes, please sign me up, say no more. So those were the 2 additional books that I got that, yes, I didn't technically need, but also, so what? I had £10 on my Plus card to use, so these 3 books cost me £13, which is why I'm also so annoyed about the hardbacks. How can I get 3 books, even if we added on the £10 that I had, like the discount, for £23, but only 1 hardback for £22? Nuts. Anyway, let's get into the books. So, as I said, I started 9 Liars last night. I am currently further than this. Hang on a minute. Getting tired, so I swapped to my Libby app to read an extra chapter. I'm now up to chapter 6, page 99, and this is really good, really fun. This was exactly what I'm in the mood for. So if you don't know Maureen Johnson's books, they start off with the first trilogy, which is the Truly Devious trilogy. In that, we're following Stevie Bell, who wants nothing more than to be Sherlock Holmes, gets to go to Ellingham Academy. Ellingham Academy is a really elite academy, gets a place there by telling them, I am going to solve your cold case, because there were murders that happened at Ellingham Academy. They've never been solved, and Stevie's like, I am going to solve this. She gets invited in. Ellingham Academy is a very elite but unusual school, and in that first trilogy you have the overarching mystery of the Ellingham Academy murders. Inside each book you have a smaller mystery to solve. You then have 2 standalones, but they also go along. The reason why I see them as standalones is because they're like individual mysteries, self-contained, but they follow the event. So the next book is Box in the Woods, which takes place during the summer break of finishing the first year at Ellingham Academy, which was the first 3 books, and then summer break, and that is Box in the Woods, and Stevie solves another murder. And now we have 9 Liars, and Stevie is back at Ellingham Academy for her second and final year, and she is stressed. All her friends are focused on college applications and moving forward with their lives, and she just feels afloat, adrift. She needs a murder to solve to give her life purpose, and she just doesn't know what to do. This one's also focused a lot more on the romance side of things. She's got a long distance romance going on, and I feel like this book works really well for the age range, because this is young adult and we are focusing on people that would be feeling like this, feeling the pressure of making loads of decisions. What do you do within school? What subjects do you choose to learn? Also, that first romance and how stressful that can be. But alongside that, you do get a dual timeline, and the second timeline is taking place in 1995, where we have a murder that has happened, but we're doing it in the traditional Maureen Johnson way, where you get a lot of background. You meet the different people that are involved, you see the lead up to it, and the different people that are involved is this group of 9 university students that all went to Cambridge University, and they were going out for their last hurrah, their last party of all of them being together, because after this week they're all going their separate ways. And you know, a lot of them are really sad about it. These are people that have been in their lives for the last 3 years. They've been constantly around one another. Their relationships and stuff is all interwoven, like a really close-knit friendship group, and they want this last hurrah. Except after the first night, 2 people are murdered. And of course Stevie is eventually going to find out what's happened. I feel like in Stevie's perspective, the mystery element is going to be more of a subplot and more something that she is trying to focus on while her life feels like it's spiraling out of control. But again, I think that works for the age range and that feeling of not knowing what you want to do with your life. I mean, hell, I still feel that way. So I think it works for that. I just enjoy these characters, I enjoy these books. So yeah, really looking forward to carrying on with this one. I'm having so much fun with it, and I think this is going to be my primary read because I'm enjoying it so much, and this is exactly what I'm in the mood for. But it gives me a nice break from The Beholders, which is a slower moving book. So I spent a bit of time this morning reading an extra 15 pages. So I'm now up to April page 49, and I think what I'm going to do is read little bits of this in between moments of reading 9 Liars. That is the plan, I'm thinking. But I am liking this book. It's very slow moving. I think once it all picks up, then I'm going to be a lot more invested. I think it's just a very slow start because we're establishing everything to do with Harriet and the fact that she has a marriage proposal, but she's kind of like running away from it because she doesn't really want that for herself, but also doesn't feel like she can tell them that either, because he is then going to be providing for her family. So for her family's sake, she should be getting married, and there's nothing wrong with this man, she just doesn't want to be married. So she doesn't really know what she wants, and she's kind of enthralled with her employer and wants to know more. She's been tasked with helping this lady, but she's got no idea what she's meant to be helping with at the minute. She is just doing all the drudgery work of being a housemaid, and so she doesn't really know, but at the same time it's given her the opportunity to escape the marriage. I feel like things will get more intense in terms of atmosphere and things, and we'll understand a bit more of what's going on. So far from what is implied, we are seeing the fact that the mistress of the household is not happy. Like she's not happy with where she is. She doesn't connect to her child at all. She has a beautiful singing voice and she wants to sing. That is what she wants to do. However, she feels very constrained by this life, and she gets given a canary and comments on how this beautiful canary is meant to sing, is born to sing and be free, and instead is trapped inside a golden cage. And I feel like that's exactly how she sees herself. So we're definitely going to get more, and that does interest me. It's just, it's a bit slow, and like I say, the more gothic horror lean and stuff, like I'm not fully in the mood for, but I think once it grips me, I will be there for it. But 9 Liars is a really nice mood break and kind of what I'm feeling at the minute to have alongside. So I'm really happy with that. So yeah, those are all the reading updates. Those are the books that I bought yesterday. And yeah, that's everything. The plan today is to go plant shopping and also like get a bathroom shelf. I think I mentioned this already in an update, but I would like to get like a little corner shelf, put a plant up. That is something I'd like to do. And then other than that, it's just an editing day. I've got quite a bit of editing to get done. Managed to film a couple of videos recently, so we need to get all the editing done, so that's out of the way, and then I should have work tomorrow. But yeah, that is everything of what I've been up to, and now I'm just waffling because I'm kind of procrastinating getting on with doing the editing and things. But we will go off and do that, and I will be sitting down and reading 9 Liars and The Beholders throughout the day. I think I'm just going to mix it between the two when I sit down and have hour breaks from editing. updating 3 days in a row. There is a reason for it. Normally I would update in the morning. It is currently 7 o'clock of an evening. Tomorrow morning I am really busy. I have work in the afternoon and I'm busy in the morning. So rather than stressing about trying to update and then feeling like I should have updated beforehand and stuff, let's just do it this evening. I had a really good day yesterday though. I've had 2 really good days. I can't complain. I did get the plant, as you saw, and put it up in my bathroom. I'm really happy with that. It's something small like that for me adds a massive difference. I am so happy with it. So very happy with that. I definitely want to get more plants. Basically I would just like them everywhere, plants and books everywhere. But yeah, I'm really pleased with that. I think it looks really good in the bathroom. And then today has honestly just been a really good, like, productive day in terms of getting videos edited. I also went out for a walk today, and on my wanderings I popped into a little charity shop and picked up the Marlowe Murder Club for £1. £1, and it's in pristine condition. I am so happy with this. This is a book I read earlier this year. I have loved it. I've not stopped talking about this. I'm so excited to continue on with the series. Like, it is great. It is such a good cozy murder mystery. If you are on the market for a cozy murder mystery and you haven't picked this one up, give it a try. It is so much fun, and I'm so pleased I got it for £1. This was great. I'm so happy with this. So yeah, that was amazing. I am perfect find. I love it when you get wins like that. It is so good. But reading. So since I last updated, I have attempted to read more of The Beholders. I'm now up to page 91 and it's okay. It's okay. I honestly don't know if I updated since I read more of this. Did I read some of this yesterday? Yes, I did. I did try and read little bits of it yesterday. It's fine. It's very slow. We finally got to the point where Harriet is now Mrs. Gethin's lady's maid rather than just being a housemaid. So she's been upgraded. Even though she's never been a lady's maid before, even though she's actually not qualified for the job at all, she now is because the mistress likes her, and we're just seeing that kind of relationship grow between them. I'm not getting too much sense of unease in this yet. I feel like we will get there eventually, but as of yet we haven't had anything prominent in the atmosphere, but it is starting to get a bit more interesting, which is good. It's a bit slow for the mood that I'm in, but I will be continuing on with this, although I haven't today. I probably should this evening. I say probably because, well, I don't think that's gonna happen because I'm just loving this. I'm loving this so much. I have read up to chapter 19, page 275. I have done a good chunk of this. I read another 100 pages yesterday. I've read another 75 pages today, and I do have this evening, so I'm probably going to read more of it. I'm just really enjoying it. There are problems with this though. This is not as good as some of the other Maureen Johnson book, only because this book takes place in London. So you're getting a lot of touristy information about London, because the reason why Stevie and a group of friends are in London is because they've convinced their headmaster that, well, they're on a study trip, which is not the main reason why they're there. It is for some of them, but the majority of them, they just wanted a trip. Or at least for Stevie, she just wanted a trip. She wanted to see her boyfriend, and now she has this murder case that she's involved in. But because they are meant to be on this study trip, they have a strict schedule of touristy things that they are meant to do, such as going to the Tower of London, going to the Houses of Parliament, and all of this, which is great, except I don't need the in-depth discussions about Henry VIII and the fact that Anne Boleyn was in the Tower of London. I grew up with that. I walk past all of these points quite regularly when I go into central London because it's not far for me. I can appreciate it for someone that's not been to London and to find it interesting, but it kind of feels like Maureen Johnson got all this information and just wanted to show off that she had all this information and started putting it all in, because I feel like it's not necessary. You can definitely have, oh, we went to the Tower of London and we did a tour, but there are some bits of it where it's just so much information that's been put there that I'm like, is that necessary? I hope it all has a point, and maybe it actually is all necessary, and maybe by the end I'll be like, okay, ignore what I said. For now, it just feels like we're having a lot of information to show off how much Maureen Johnson knows about Henry VIII, which isn't a bad thing, because I am always intrigued by Henry VIII. I mean, come on, there's a guy that murdered 2 of his wives, tore apart England with his quest for a divorce and the religious side. Like, there's a lot, okay? It's a messy history. So of course it's interesting, and it is really fun seeing some things as Stevie being American, and some of the things like tea is mentioned a lot, and how when they go off into the country lanes are so narrow that Stevie's like, this is a one-way, right? And then you've got a car coming the other way. It's actually a van coming the other way, and she's screaming because it's so close, and it's like, yeah, that's just how it is. Like, countryside lanes. Every time there is a freaking siren when I update my vlog. I mean, at least it's apt. Murder mystery book we're talking about. But yeah, so it is, like, it's interesting, it's funny, it's just, I don't necessarily think it's needed, but at the same time that's not stopping my enjoyment of this book, because I am still really enjoying this. So we do get Stevie presented with this case about these group of friends where 2 of them died. One of the original 9 that they end up going to talk about, things start happening, and of course Stevie gets pulled in. Her friends are kind of reluctantly pulled along with it, and we're just seeing a lot of conflict, especially because Stevie is just so aimless and not really knowing what she wants, and all the others are so much more focused, and she does get called out on it a bit. So yeah, and also you've got the relationship between Stevie and the other character, which I don't want to say in case spoilers if you haven't read the series and you want to read it, but that relationship being difficult with it now being long distance. There's also talk about Stevie's anxiety attacks, which I do think, I don't suffer with anxiety attacks, but I like the fact that it is mentioned in here, because I feel like we don't get much representation of that within books, so it is really nice to see that. I'm just enjoying this one. It's so readable, it's so quick to read. I feel like things with the case are going to start amping up, but I stick with what I said, that the case doesn't seem to be at the forefront. Like, it took a long time for the case to become the main thing. Only really just now have they got to the place where it's going to become the forefront of the book. So it's been a lot of like slower stuff, a lot of looking into Stevie, her relationships with her friends as well as her boyfriend, what she wants to do with her life, and then the touristy bits about London. I do need to get back on track and read more of The Beholders. I will also be starting Paladin's Grace tomorrow. I'm looking forward to reading that one, so that will definitely be read by the end of the week. But yeah, I've enjoyed my little tangent off my TBR with this book. It was definitely what I needed to do, because I feel like if I tried carrying it on with The Collector and The Beholders, I would have had a really meh reading week and been really kind of down about it, when July's been a really strong reading month. I don't want to end on a negative note because I wasn't in the mood for it, because I finally am discovering, hey, we like more cozy books in our reading mix. Which, you know what, slight tangent here, you would think I would know, but I read so much that it's so easy for me to get burnt out. Like, a few years ago I would say I was mainly a fantasy reader, except this year I haven't really focused on fantasy that much because I'm just kind of not in the mood for it. Same with Greek mythology last year. Loved it, was reading loads of it, burnt myself out. Finally, after taking a good year break from reading it, I'm now back in the mood. So I guess I always thought I would get burnt out with cozy books. But the thing is there's cozy books across so many genres, so I think that really helps. You know, you've got your cozy fantasy, your cozy mysteries, cozy thrillers, even some cozy horrors. Like, basically whatever genre you've got, you're going to have a cozy subgenre within it, which is really fun, and I really like that. And because it is across so many genres, it's something that can always keep me interested. This month was more, and even towards the end of last month, was more of a focus in on like darker horror gothic leaning books, because when I did my favourites video I was like, oh, these aren't my favourite books, because the majority of them are. However, as much as they're my favourite, like I've been saying a lot recently, they're not books you want to read all the time. The same with weird books. I love a weird book. Don't want to read a weird book all the time. Having a little tangent to give myself that cozy break that I needed is worth it. And I'm now going to catch up with you in a few days time. Probably by that point I would have finished 9 Liars, and then we can really focus in on The Beholders, and I can tell you what I think of Paladin's Grace, because I think by then I would have read a good chunk depending on when I update. We said we were going to stop waffling. We of course carried on waffling for another whole minute, but that is what you get on this channel. Take a moment to complain, because the weather here in England is all over the place. Like, it was 30 degrees, like, what, 3 or 4 days ago? And right now I'm having to wear a jumper because it is that much colder and wet and windy outside. Like, it's all over the place. I'm starting to get a cold again because this weather is just all over the place and it is not doing wonders for my body. But it's fine. I'm nowhere near as bad as I was when I was like more of like the flu type thing. This is more just like a slight head cold. I just want it to make up its mind. Either we're in autumn and that's fine and I will know, like, keep the jumpers out and stuff, or we're in summer. But can we stop doing this to and fro in? It is driving me insane here. That tangent's out the way. Like, I needed that rant. Like, do you ever get that sometimes? You just need to vent a little bit. Thanks for listening to that. Anyway, right, books. We have a couple of updates and then a decision to make. So let's start off with the update. First of all, I started Paladin's Grace. I'm now up to chapter 18, 100 pages in, and I'm enjoying this one. It's really fun and cute. It's definitely different to T. Kingfisher's horror books. Obviously, I've only ever read their more horror gothic leaning books. Also, if you hear any background noise, there's just some people doing some like construction work a few doors down. So I only really read their more horror leaning stuff. However, they do have this like classic humor style about them that I come to expect, and it is definitely translating really well into this. This is definitely more cutesy, lighter fantasy romance, and I'm not mad about it. Like, that fits my mood perfectly for this week, in that wanting something slightly cozier. So we have two main characters. First, we meet Stephen, and we're in this world where there are lots of different gods and things, but his god has died. He's kind of been left afloat, but been taken in by the rat. I think it's the white rat. The members of his system, they're more like clerics and healers and things like this, but they've been taken in to kind of like stand bodyguard for them when they need it, escort them to rougher parts of town to deliver medicine and things. Stephen I actually really like. He's kind of like a big softie in a way. Like, he's definitely got the brute strength behind him. He's definitely that darker streak that comes along with the fact that his god has passed away, but he also likes to knit socks, and it's just like there's just like something cutesy about him. And then we have Grace, who has our other main character, who is a perfumer. Now, I don't know if this is factually correct, but oh my god, does Grace give me the parts about the perfume a bit. Perfume by Patrick Susskind vibes, except nowhere near as dark and twisted. Although, seeing that there was this one paragraph, so that they meet, there's this like collision thing, they meet. Grace is obsessed with smells. Obviously, she is a perfumer. She has a very delicate sense of smell. Smells also can bring back memories and things for her, but she is like, holy crap, he smells like gingerbread. This is amazing. How does a person smell like gingerbread? And she's like trying to replicate this scent, and she's driving herself a bit insane with it, and she's like, I wonder if I can like take smell from him, like from a human. Can we do that? And then she starts going in this downward spiral of, oh well, this way probably wouldn't work. You'd probably get a very like putrid smell. However, if I tried this way, and then she's like, wait a minute, stop. We can't be going around cutting hunks of people up so that I can capture the smell. And I'm like, that is just a direct, to me in my mind, direct thing from Perfume by Patrick Susskind, because, well, that's exactly what he tries to do. So I loved that, and maybe that's just a connection that I've made and it's not actually a connection, but T. Kingfisher does have this thing where she takes inspiration from a lot of other literature, so it wouldn't surprise me if she took that concept from Perfume and put it into a kind of a lighter setting. There is some darker bits to this. We've had a murder that's happened and like a attempted assassination. We've also got a slightly darker backstory about Grace. I feel like there's going to be more coming to it with that. So, you know, there is darker moments, but it's nowhere near as darker as their other writings that I've read. So to me, this still feels a bit lighthearted. It's kind of like a cozy book, but if you want more stakes and more things and more plot to it. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this. Looking forward to reading more of it. Definitely going to get it read by the end of the week. I'm having a grand old time with it. So yeah, I'm enjoying this. I wasn't sure because I was a bit hesitant going into this one because I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like their more romance leaning stuff. However, I just really like their writing style. T. Kingfisher is an author that, while their books may not be standout new favourites for me, they are so consistent in I'm always going to have a good time with these books that it's great. Like, it's an author that I can go, they have a new book coming out, I'm going to pick it up and give it a read. I just like their writing style. I don't think I've come across a book that I have disliked by them. Definitely gonna have to think about how do I rank their books, because I'm just really enjoying it. I think they're interesting. I love the fact that they take concepts from other books that they have come across, whether it's like a little short story or a sentence here or there. Like, I love how their mind works. So yeah, I'm enjoying this. This is really cute and fun. Enjoying it a lot more than what I thought, so that's great. Like clockwork. Like clockwork. Every time I sit down to update a vlog, we get sirens. It's like they know. Genuinely, there must be some sort of bat signal or something. It is very rare that I will hear a siren. Every time I pick up the camera, gonna happen. Also, my lighting just went out. It's a cloudy day. I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, 9 Liars. I've read, well, another good old chunk of this book. I've got, I think it's like 30 or 45 pages left of this book to read. I am up to chapter 30, page 402, and I'm enjoying it. We're at this point now where Stevie's worked out who's done it and what's happened, but now she needs to prove it. I've had a theory since this page, because I folded the page 139, on who it was. However, what I think, because I always doubt myself, because, well, the track record hasn't been great, I need to start keeping a spreadsheet of my murder mysteries that I've read and the ones that I've actually solved. So I have a theory on who it is. However, not how or why. There is another person that fits the why better, and either these two people work together because it's a very close-knit group of friends, or it was just this other person and I'm like, but why? Why did we do this? Just because of some of the things that keep coming up that are very much about this one particular thing, which I'm not going to tell you because spoilers and stuff in case you want to read it, but it keeps coming up enough that it makes me think, well then does that mean that this person was behind it? There's just something going on there where I'm like, if they're not behind it, they know something or they have helped in some way. So we'll see. I'm intrigued to see. I would like to get this finished today, whether it's before work, after work, I don't really know. I'm not planning on doing too much this morning because I'm not feeling the best, so I'm probably going to try and finish this. My partner said he might pop round before I have work, so I guess it just depends what I end up doing, but this is not going to take me long to do. I imagine within an hour I'm going to get this done. This has been the perfect mood of what I needed, and now I'm caught up with everything Maureen Johnson has written currently, although she does a new book coming out that I would definitely be getting hold of. My only thing is that it's going to come out in hardback, which it is a start. It's either a standalone or it's a start of a different series, which I'm not mad about if that's then in hardback. So depending on if I think I'm going to get to it soon or not will depend on whether I pick up the hardback. I haven't pre-ordered it. I've been waiting for Waterstones to do their double points again because that's the only time I pre-order. To me, I love I enjoy pre-ordering books, but what makes it actually worth it is the double points, and then you get more value for your money. But whether I end up buying it before any double points come along or anything like that will depend on my mood and whether I want to pick it up sooner rather than later, or if I just feel down one day and decide to just treat myself. Who knows? But yeah, really enjoyed this. It's been great. I just really like Maureen Johnson's writing. It's kind of hard for like my young adult murder mystery authors because I've only really got 3 that I've really enjoyed, and it's hard to rank them all. Like, are there problems? Yes. Do I care? No, because I just really like the characters. I like the mystery of it all. Like, I'm just having a good time. Poor Stevie is going through a rough time though. I do feel for her, but I feel, again, this is very relatable to someone that is younger, that's going through all these questions, deciding what you want to do about your future, your first love, how rocky that can be, like all of that, as I've already said. But yeah, okay, moving on. Now we're getting into the I don't know what to do portion. So technically after I finish 9 Liars, I should be carrying on with one of these 2 books. However, I've not picked up the Beholders again since I last spoke about it, and obviously we know I haven't picked up the Collector since I first started this book, but I'm just not feeling them. Like right now, I'm just not in the mindset to read these sort of books. They're not DNFs, oh I'm never gonna come back to them, they're just I'm not in the mood for them. I think I'm really gonna like the Collector. This has the potential, like this has the sort of setup where I'm like, it is disturbing and gritty in a way that I tend to enjoy, which what does that say about me? But yeah, so I definitely think I will enjoy this when I get back to it. This one is just very slow and I'm not in the mood for that sort of book, so I don't think I'm going to carry on with these 2, unfortunately. Like, I want to, but not right now, so I think they're just going to be soft DNFs, and then we'll get to them at some point, whether it ends up being this year, next year, who knows. I do that with some books. Like, sometimes you've just got to let books sit until you're in the mood for them, and I've always been a big advocate of DNFing, whether it's a full DNF, you're not going to pick them up again, or just a soft DNF because you're not in the mood for them at that time. I think what I'm going to do is next week's vlog, we're going to start July? We're in July. We're going to start August TBR a couple days early. I think it will be like 3 days early, and just do that because I'm in the mood for that TBR. I'm really excited for it, and I'm just not really in the mood for these sort of books right now. So I'm going to leave those, but that does mean we've got a few days left, because if I'm finishing 9 Liars today, we still then have Friday, Saturday, Sunday to finish up a book. We will be reading Paladin's Grace and finishing that, but I'm probably going to want something extra, and I just don't know what. I could have a little rummage through my shelves, maybe find a book that's under 350 pages, preferably under 300, because then I know I'm going to get it done. Or actually, I have been reading Clytemnestra by Constanza Cassidy. This is the Instagram book club pick, which I actually need to get finished by the 1st of August, because that's when the discussion is. I am almost halfway through this. Well, actually, I'm over halfway through. I'm up to chapter 22, page 273. So I could just spend the mornings finishing up this, actually. I've mainly been reading it on Kindle at like little points where I'm between books and I've got something that I can just pick up and read a little bit of. The reason why I've been able to read this one so broken up is because, well, this is a Greek mythology retelling. I find Greek mythology retellings, because I've read so many of them, they're almost like a reread to me, because I know the storyline, especially with something like this one where it's a historical setting for this. So we're seeing Clytemnestra as she grows up from a little girl to being older, and all the events that happen around, a lot of awful stuff that goes on the lead up to the Battle of Troy, and all of this stuff that happens that Clytemnestra has to go through. I'm really enjoying the writing style of this. It's very pretty, it's very lyrical. I enjoy that. I tend to find that with Greek mythology retellings, especially the historical setting ones, that they do have very beautiful writing, and this I'm just finding it interesting. I think this is the more in-depth look at Clytemnestra that I haven't read before. So Clytemnestra, I've read a few books where obviously she's mentioned because Helen of Troy's sister, and one book where we had her perspective for a few things, but this one is the first time we've seen really in-depth what it was like for her growing up, or at least this author's interpretation of what it must have been like, and I'm really enjoying it. Like, I like Clytemnestra as a character, so maybe I'll just finish this. Maybe across the next few days we're going to finish 9 Liars, we will finish Paladin's Grace, and we will finish Clytemnestra, and then that's my July reading done. That's everything I needed to read for July done. So I get the Discord book club pick done, I get the Instagram book club pick done, and I finish an extra book that I decided to pick up random. And I feel like that would be quite nice. So yeah, this is a book that I mentioned in my reset video, I think it was, as a book I needed to read for the month, for July, and I'm enjoying it. I'm in that mood for Greek mythology again. Not loads of it. I'm enjoying the writing of it. I'm enjoying the stories, and I don't know, there's just something comforting about reading a book where you already know the story and just seeing how an author interprets it slightly differently. I've always enjoyed that. I feel like this is going to be the book to pick up after 9 Liars and to finish out, and that would be good. Honestly, this has been a drastic change to what I had planned for this weekly reading vlog. I'm also not mad about it either, because it's what I need, it's what I'm in the mood for, and there's just no point forcing my way through things, especially when next week from the 1st of August I have more of a set TBR in terms of when I've got to read certain things because of a readathon that's happening, so it's a bit more structured. So having a week where I'm just like, you know what, allowing myself to kind of mood read, it's not a bad shout. Right, okay, I've been waffling on for like 18 minutes, so I'm going to, I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe just finish 9 Liars. Is there anything I need to do this morning? No, not really. So I think I'm just going to finish 9 Liars and chill out before I have work, and I'll catch up with you soon. Good afternoon. I am heading off to work shortly, but I wanted to start wrapping up this vlog because I finished all the books. So we're going to go in order of when I finished the books, starting off with 9 Liars. I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was really fun. The person it ended up being didn't end up being the couple of people I thought it could have been. Instead, it ended up being a person that I can't remember exactly when it happened, but I think around the 150-ish page mark where Stevie is first meeting the 9, we get this piece of information. It's literally just a sentence that correlates back to another piece of information we got about 50 pages before that. And I was like, oh, well, it must be them. It had 4 people involved and it couldn't have been 2 of them. So it left us with 2 possibilities. And I automatically went, oh, but it must be you. But I had no reasoning for that. I had no clue as to why they would have done it. I had nothing to support why I just gut felt, oh, it must have been you then. And so I kind of ended up dismissing it and did get swept along as usual with red herrings and things. And I did think it was a bit heavy-handed, so I did think should be a red herring, but sometimes you get false red herrings, so you never know. It did actually end up being that person that I thought, based on this one little thing. And again, couldn't tell you why. I never guessed any of that, but I always like it. I enjoy it. I like knowing that I did have it right, that the gut instinct was right, but because I am an overthinker at heart and I overthought, none of that actually makes sense. I'm basing it on this one little thing, and you know, it doesn't necessarily mean anything, and then of course I managed to talk myself out of it, which is hilarious. But this was great. I really enjoyed it. Yes, it has its faults, but I mean, this is the 5th book in the series. I'm at that point where I'm so connected to these characters. I don't mind if there are things that were a little bit messily done or little side tangents that we really didn't need to go on. I don't mind too much because I'm already attached to these characters. Like, I'm just enjoying them. I'm enjoying seeing their personal growth. Yeah, I thought it was a great book. It was a lot of fun. The way it ends, we're definitely going to have to come back to Stevie and the characters. When that will be, I don't know. As I said, Maureen Johnson's next book is a completely different one. Like, it's not following these characters at all, but I'm sure we will eventually get back to Stevie and her friends just because of the way it left, and you're just like, well, you can't leave it there. We have to have some resolution there. Not in terms of the mystery. The mystery is fully wrapped up, just in terms of Stevie's personal life. I am so pleased that I decided to just go out and buy this one, because I definitely wouldn't have finished it in time for the Libby hold before it would have returned. So I'm very pleased that I just bit the bullet, went and bought it, because I knew I'd want it for my shelves anyway. Although I am bothered, this book does not match these books. It's like a little thing, but it's a thing that bothers me, because these are all buttery and matte and lovely, and this is really shiny. And I hate it when they do that. You're in a series, match it to the rest of them, especially when all the others have this buttery matte feel to it, but this doesn't. It's a little thing. Anyway, yes, I finished this book. I loved it. It was really good. Exactly what my mood needed for this week. The next book I then finished was Paladin's Grace, and I really enjoyed it. It was so cute and wholesome, and this book cements for me that T. Kingfisher is a new author by author. I will go back and read everything they've read. I mean, to be fair, at this point I've got all of T. Kingfisher's traditionally published works, I think apart from one actually, and their newest book out I have pre-ordered. It is sat at my mum's house. I just need to go and collect the parcel. I have everything they've done traditionally published, but this solidifies that I need to go back and read all of their indie published work as well, because they're just such a consistent author. They can really deliver books that just work for me, and yes, they're not going to be all-time favorite books, however I will consistently enjoy them, and I think that's really rare to find. I mean, don't get me wrong, some authors can do it. Brandon Sanderson, on the whole, I enjoy most of their books, but there's always going to be one or two that didn't quite work. But T. Kingfisher is an author where I've just consistently enjoyed all their books, not really deviated from that. It's been fantastic, and this one, as we know, I was nervous about because of the fact that it was more of their romance leaning stuff rather than their more gothic inspired things, but it just worked. I really enjoyed the murder mystery element that was going on, where you've got someone running around decapitating people and the mystery around that. I liked the assassination attempts that our two main characters get all caught up in, and they're trying to prove that no, they had nothing to do with it. Like, there's lots of different things going on. Was it a bit messy and all over the place and a bit ridiculous at times? Yes. But did I really enjoy it regardless of all these things? 100%. Like, I really did. I thought it was a really fun time. I'm definitely going to continue with this series. Basically, all of their backlog of books I am going to go and read, because I've just enjoyed it, and I'm really pleased that this one got chosen for Discord, because if it wasn't for that, I probably never would have got round to this one. Win for that. Thank you, Discord, for prompting me to read this book, and it does seem like, on the whole, everyone's been enjoying this book, which is amazing. That is a great win. I think we've definitely done a good choice here. Amazing. Really loved it. You can definitely see where the series is going to go on, because you get one thing that's kind of wrapped up and then a continuation from the rest of their things, which again I'm not going to go into because of spoilers. But I really liked the relationship dynamic. I liked the way they were learning to trust one another. There was a lot of back and forth, a lot of repetitions going on about feeling like they don't deserve one another for various different things, because each of them is dealing with their own things that makes them feel unworthy. Stephen's also very good at feeling guilty over things. It's kind of what paladins do in this world. Feel noble and then feel guilty. You do get a lot of moments of wallowing in self-pity almost, and just feeling like, oh, you know, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough for these sort of things. And then on the other hand, you're seeing Grace kind of overcome things, overcome her past, learn to trust herself, not put herself down because of the past relationship that she was in that was very manipulative, and you know, she ended up believing a lot of what was said and put onto her, and so she's overcoming that. So there is a lot of back and forth, there's a lot of repetition, but I also really liked seeing their growth and seeing them come into their own and realizing these things about one another. So I liked that. I thought it was really good, really wholesome. So yeah, that was really good, really kind of surprising as well, because like I say, I was nervous. So that's another win. And then of course I've read Clytemnestra, and I did really enjoy this one. I already spoke about how this writing is just really beautiful. This is a book I have been reading over the course of the whole month, just picking it up here and there. I think for me, I've got one thing that I would kind of nitpick with this book, and that is, if you know the Greek mythology of Clytemnestra, Clytemnestra is Helen's sister, and she is married to Agamemnon. Agamemnon is the person that kind of got all of the Greeks together to go against Troy, to fight Troy to get Helen back. He was after any excuse for a war anyway, so this was really good. So he banded everyone together and became like the head person of all these different Greeks in charge of this army. The problem is when they got to the point where they were going to be sailing, there was this, basically there was no wind, they could not set sail, and he ends up believing in this person who is apparently able to communicate with the gods, who says how he has to sacrifice his daughter to then be able to get the wind, to be able to sail on and start this war. And so that's what he does. And so obviously this is a horrific event, and Clytemnestra is there for it. They're lured in under false pretenses. She then sees her daughter gets murdered for the sake of a good wind. Like, it's ridiculous. What I feel like we should have had more time with is time spent with Clytemnestra dealing with that. Because we are told that she spent a long time being obviously in despair over what happened, and then that despair turned into hatred, and then her revenge plot line. But I feel like we didn't get a lot of time in that moment where she was in despair. I feel like it was kind of brushed over. Instead, we got letters from her family to her rather than her actually being in it. Like we got told how, oh, we're hearing how you're not eating, you're not doing these things, that's not who you are, you must let go and move on. And it's like, but you never actually saw Clytemnestra. That was the only bit you get letters, so it didn't really match with anything either. So I feel like that is the point where I would have personally changed it, especially because everything up until that point is really, really slow. I liked it because you saw a lot of storylines that don't get spoken about that much, that do get overlooked. So I really appreciated seeing that and having that focus in this book. It just seemed that that bit where her daughter is then murdered is then skipped over to, okay, now we're going to go to revenge plot line, and that's like the last 100 pages of the book. Okay, good, but that transitional bit would have been really good if we had just spent a chapter or two on that fully. To me, that would have made it a really good, like, perfect book. I wouldn't have been able to find any complaints about it because the writing style is gorgeous. I enjoyed, like I say, the different storylines it was exploring. I enjoyed the pacing of this. I just feel like it was a skipped over part. It's so important. Skipping over it does kind of a disservice. That's just my personal opinion, but I think the rest of it was very good. I really enjoyed this portrayal of Clytemnestra. It did kind of remind me of Helen of Troy, which this big book focuses on Helen. So it's kind of like we've done very similar thing. You've got this book focusing on Helen from when she's a very young child to when she is taken back to Menelaus after the Battle of Troy. And in this one, you see Clytemnestra from when she's a very young child to then afterwards when Agamemnon is coming back home after the Battle of Troy. So both of these books cover the same amount of time, just focusing on two very different women. So I really enjoyed that. I liked depictions of both the women and how they were both slightly different and yet still have that core sameness to them, especially about Clytemnestra being that much more strong-willed and not willing to back down from things. And I liked how in both books we get that across. So I thought it was a really, really good book. And then of course, just to wrap up the fact that we did read a little bit of The Collector. I got up to the first 30 pages. Yeah, I read the first 30 pages of this book and I think I will like it. I'm just not in the mood for this sort of thing right now. And the same with The Beholders. I got up to page 91 and again, this one for me, it was just a pacing thing. It was a bit too slow, not quite what I was in the mood for as well, because I didn't really want another more darker gothic leaning book. So as much as both of these were on my July TBR and I did start them, they're not what I was in the mood for, so putting them down for now, and eventually I will come back to these because I do think I will like them, just I need to be in the mood for them. So there we are, that is all the reading I did this week. It's been a good week. I've enjoyed it. I'm happy with the reading that I have done. But yeah, I think that's everything I need to talk about. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please let me know what you've been up to, what you've been reading. If you've read any of the books that I have read this week, please let me know in the comments below. But I think I am going to leave it there. So if you've made it this far, let's leave a sword in the comments below if you've made it this far or you just don't know what to comment. Yeah, that's everything. So thank you genuinely so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I love being able to waffle on about books with you all. It has been so lovely. And if you have enjoyed this video, then please do consider giving it that thumbs up, subscribe and comments. Those three things really help this channel out. My social media links and anyone I've mentioned will be linked below for you, and I will of course catch you in the very next video.